It'll be on video. All right, here we go. Section 10.4. We're going to do volume of prisms and cylinders. Okay, so volume is the amount of, and the second blank is space.
Where's the quiz?
On my computer. The volume is the amount of space enclosed by an object. So basically what it is how much could fit inside of something. Several formulas can be used to find the volume of three-dimensional figures. Volume of three-dimensional figures are given below along with examples. So, volume is measured in cubic units. Basically, it's how many 1 unit cubes would fit inside of an object, is what volume is. So if we want to fill something up, we would measure it in little cubes of units, little cubic inches, little cubic feet, things like that. It's how many 1 unit cubes would fit inside. Now I did put a little cube on the bottom left corner there. And it says, what's the volume of a cube? The volume of a cube that is 2 units or 2 feet on each side. What's the volume of a cube that is 2 feet on each side? So we're looking down at this diagram right here. So we've got a cube that's got 2 units. So you can notice that each side has 2 cubes on it. Whether it's coming the right side, whether it's the front side, or whether it's the up, going straight up, you've got 2 units. So if you could count those cubes, how many cubes would you have? Okay, Christian says 8. What do you think? Okay, I've got 4 on the top row, right? And how many are on the bottom row then? There's 4. So your volume would definitely be 8 cubic feet is what you would call it. Because 1 cube, 1 by 1 by 1 represents 1 cube. So inside of that would be 8 cubic feet. So what do you think? Is there a formula that we could use to figure out how to get 8 with like a numbers or anything like that? Okay, so volume of a cube, right? Volume of cube equals what? How about like length times width times height? The length times width would be 2 times 2 times the height is another 2. And what was 2 times 2 times 2? 8. That's how we got the 8. So this equals 8 right here. Now, when we're talking about like a square, because a cube has a bunch of squares, right? When we're talking about a square, what is just the length times the width? That's the area of just the square. So basically what we did to get the volume of a cube is we found the area of the bottom square. And then what did we do to it? We multiplied it by the height. So that's kind of what you're going to see in some of these formulas. The volume of a cube with the edge of E is where V equals E cubed. So if you're saying that your edge or your length of the side is E, then it's going to be E cubed. Like ours was 2, so it was 2 cubed. Sometimes we write it as S cubed because a lot of times you're going to see volume of a cube just as side cubed. They usually use S. In this case, first case, they use E. But S is going to be usually what you'll see for a cube because we talk about sides. So S cubed would be side cubed. So and you have this example, I believe, on your paper already written out for you, right? So 5 cubed, 5 times 5 would be the area of the base of 25. times 5 rows of that, because your base represents 1 row, and then you've got 5 rows of it, so you times it by 5, so you get 5 times 5 times 5 right here, which is 5 cubed, and then 125 is your answer for that one. So this is 5 cubed, and this would be 125. Volume of a cube. Okay, we get. You can get it from the person next to you, or you can watch it later if you need to, so it'll be online. Okay, volume of cube and rectangular prisms. I want you to check out this website so you can look at it. I put the address on your paper if you want to check it out later, because there's other stuff on here. But take a look at this, and it kind of gives you a model of how to find the volume. So it gives you the cube right here. So it's dropping it down, and that's 1 row. That's 1 level. That's the area of the base. In the base, there are 9 cubes. So it says how many unit cubes did it take to form the bottom layer. So that one was 9. And it's an interactive tool, so you could actually try different things and stuff like that. So, okay, then it's gonna. Wait, what happened? Thought it was supposed to move on. Oh, how many would it take to fill the entire cube? So if you've got 3 here, or 9 here, 9 here, and 9 here, how much would it take? 27 to fill it. So 27. Oh, 27. How many layers? 3 layers. Sorry, I thought it was 3 layers. Okay. And then it says, so they're going to fill it up for us. In total, how many unit cubes were needed to fill the entire polyhedron? Now, do you remember what polyhedron was? Polygon was a shape with no curve. Polyhedron is a solid with no curve. So it's like a prism or a cube, things like that. So how many cubes did it take? We said 27, right? Okay, so that is, now you could also do the same kind of thing for rectangular prisms. Okay, so let's find, oh wait, did I do the cube again? Looks like I did the cube again. I thought they'd do a rectangular prism. Oh, another prism. Okay, so here it is right here. Let's try one. We got a prism that's 5 by 3 by 3. How many unit cubes did it take to form the bottom layer? 5 times 3, right? So that's 15 to form the bottom layer. Okay, good job, you guys. Way to go. How many layers are needed to fill it up? So the height is 3, so there's 3 layers. 3 layers would fill it up. Okay, again, good job. So the volume of the prism is found by multiplying the base of the prism by the height of the prism. What is the volume? So we've got 15 here, and we've got 3 of those 15s. So 3 times 15, 45. So your volume there would be 45. Oops. And you could do as many prisms as you want to practice, but that's how that works. All right, back to this. Okay, so from the website, we can find the volume of a prism. We first need to know how many cubes would fit in the first layer. So that's the first thing from the website we saw, that we got to know the first layer. To get the volume, how much will fill it up, first find out the first layer of it, and then you can just multiply by how many layers you have. So when you find the first layer, you're finding the area of the base. That's important right here. You're finding the area of the base. That's what the first layer is. Area of the base, and then you're multiplying it by the height. So you next multiply that by the number of layers needed, and this represents our height. Number of layers needed is our height. So the formula for the volume of a prism with a base of B and a height of h is B times h, which is area of the base times the height. The big B is that first layer. You get that first layer, and then you just multiply it by the height. That'll give you the volume. So what do you think about our little rectangular prism that you see there? What's the area of my base? What's my first layer? First layer is 4 times 3, which is how much? 12, and then times that by the height of 2. 12 times 2 is how much? 24. So your volume is 24 cubic inches. So you're going to have your area of the base is 12, your height is 2. 2 times 12, you get 24 as your area of the volume of your prism. Now there are 2 prisms that did not come out on your note paper, which they should have, but I printed it landscape on accident. I was supposed to print it portrait, so they got cut off the bottom of the first page. So you're going to have to just draw a quick little diagram with the back. Just so you have it, probably put it on the right side of your paper somewhere where you have some room. There's another prism, and then I think there's a triangular prism as well. All right, you can come back and watch this later if you need to, or grab it from somebody else if you need to. You can always pause the video if you need it at some point. All right, how we doing?
Right now it's in the formula.
Here's the formula. It's right there, yeah. The formula that this is right here goes right there. Formula for volume of a prism. Area of the base, get the bottom base, and then multiply it by how many rows you have. Gotta move on, so if you need it, come back to it. Okay, so you have these 2 are not on your paper. So just add them to the right side really quick. And we'll just as practice. So on this one, your V equals the big B times the H. So it's the area of the base times the height. The area of the base represents my first layer. So how many cubes would be on my first layer? 5 times 6 would be how many? 30 on my first layer. And then how many layers does it have? It's got 4 layers. So your volume is 120 centimeters cubed. That's how fast volume can go. You just know how many is in the first layer, times it by how many layers there are, and you'll have your volume. That's for prisms. Prisms are your easiest. They are the quickest because you can usually see what the first layer is, and then you can times it by the height. Now, triangular prisms a little tougher. Your formula stays the same. It's still big B times H, but how do I find the area of the base when the base is a triangle? How do you find the area of a triangle? Base times height over 2, so it's going to be 3 times 4 over 2. And then my height is still 2. This is my H right here. So 3 times 4 is my base and my height of this triangle because that's my right angle up here at the top. So 3 and 4 are my base and my height for the triangle. The 2 is the height of the prism. So 3 times 4 is 12 divided by 2, 6. So 6 times 2, you're going to get a volume of 12 cubic inches. So those went pretty fast. Just wanted you to have a couple of extra examples that you could see that you might be able to use. I got to move on or I won't finish. So if you need to go back to it later, go back. Cylinders. I want you to check out a website because technically finding the volume of a cylinder is as easy as pizza. As easy as pizza. Really. And they'll show you on this website. So I think it's this website. I might be the second. Let's see if I can get this. Okay, here's the volume of a cylinder on the website that we just showed you. And, okay, it's not coming out. It's supposed to be a little interactive thing here. Didn't work. All right. Oh, here it comes. Okay, so trying to fill a cylinder with a unit cubes is pretty hard. You'd have to use pieces of cubes to fit in the round parts. So instead of trying to fill the cylinder, let's just use the process for finding the volume. So when we find the volume, we wanted to find the area of our base, right? Just like we did before. And then we would multiply by the height. So what is the area of the cylinder, circular base of the cylinder? How do you find the area of that circle? Pi r squared. It's right here, pi r squared. We know r is 3.14. The radius is 2. So basically we'd be multiplying 2 times 2, which is 2 squared, times pi. That's the number we would put in there. Then what would we multiply it by? Then all we would do is multiply it by 6. So you'd be doing pi times 2 squared, which is pi times 4, and then multiply it by 6. That's how fast the volume goes. You find the area of this base right here, this yellow part, and times it by 6. Now let's look back at this right here. Okay, now why would I say it's as easy as pizza? What? Because pizzas are round, but there is a cool little thing that talks about pizza. Okay, so remember, our volume formula, we did pi times r squared, right? That gave us the circle. And then what do we multiply it by? The height. So this website's not coming up, okay? All right, so I'll show it to you. It's as easy as pizza. So here's what you're going to want to do. On your pizza, draw a radius. And make the radius be z. The radius is z. Okay, the height, so the thickness of the pizza, we're going to make that is a. Okay, so your radius is z, your height is a. So my volume is going to be pi, right? Pi times radius squared. So what's my radius? Z, so z squared times the height, which is what letter? A. And what did we just spell? Pizza. So the volume is pizza. Pi times the radius squared times the altitude or the height. So we're just going to make these two right here be our radius. So you got your radius would be your z's, and then your altitude is your height. So you got pi times z squared or r squared times a. That's how you find the volume of a cylinder. So here's the formula down here at the bottom. Again, you may not want to write everything down, but you might want to make sure that you have this part and these two parts down here. So that way at least you know how to find the volume of a cylinder. Area of the base times the height. The B is pi r squared. The volume is pi r squared times h. So it's pi, pi, times radius squared, we call them z's, and times a, so pizza. If you remember pizza, you'll find the volume of a cylinder really quick. Pizza will get you the volume of a cylinder. This is where the website is. It has that illustration if you want to see it. You could go to this website. It will show you the illustration with the pizza and stuff like that. So it wouldn't quite come up on there. And then the last part, we just have a couple of practice ones. Oh, this one right here. Okay, so how would we find the volume of this cylinder? It would be pi times 2 squared times 4. So that's when you grab your calculator and you would do your, basically it's going to be pi times 16, because 4 squared, or 2 squared is 4 times another 4. So let's see if we get 16 times pi. Get 50.3. And that would be cubic meters. 50.3 cubic meters. So that would be the volume for that cylinder. And I'm going to continue to move just so I can finish. There's like 2 minutes left. So let's get to those last couple. You can go back and see them if you need to. Find the volume of this cylinder. We're going to do pi times 6 squared. That's my big B. And my h would be 8. So 36 times pi times 8. So let's see what that one comes out to be this time. Okay, so 36 times pi times 8. You get 904.8. I like to put approximately when you have pi because it could be a little different. Now, what would happen if they gave us the volume, but they wanted us to solve for the height? This one, it would be v equals s cubed, so it would be 100 equals s, or x cubed, we could put x. And how do we get x by itself? Cube root. So you do the third root. So we would want to do the third root of 100. So that's on your calculator. This calculator has a third root function. It's 4.6 approximately. 4.64. And when we have a cylinder, your volume would still be the area of the base times the height. So it's 4,561 equals pi times x squared times 12. So you would divide both sides by 12 pi. So 4,561. I think it's 4,561 divided by 12 pi. I don't think that came out right. And then you would get your x. I don't know what x equals here until I get a better calculator. And so x would be approximately 11. What it would be if you square root the 121, you get 11.